Hey folks, it's morning. It's Kingswood, Hamsey Green area, and I'm here to do another loop walk, this time going from where I am now, along Kingswood Lane, over towards Farley Common, along Farley Common, back via Cruise area to where I started. It is a stunningly beautiful morning here, absolutely stunning. Okay, time now to get on our way. These woodlands actually date back to at least Elizabeth I's times. Well worth a visit, particularly in springtime when the bluebells are out. See my videos. Now this is the Kingswood Lane entrance exit. This is the Kingsmead Equestrian Centre property. Many years ago, this piece of land was a sports and social club for Grant's department stores in Croydon. And I remember right by this fence there was a goal. I think the football team played in green, others may remember. And then on the far side of the field, I remember a cricket square, clubhouse and stuff over towards the left. And it was Barnfield's riding school and then Kingsmead for quite a number of years now. Actually some riding school activity taking place over there now. So the Kingswood bit back there was a bit of a bonus. This is the official start. So Kingswood Lane here and here. It's just such a beautiful morning today. I took a decision to just go with trainers today. There is mud around here, particularly in the shadier bits, but overall it's not too bad. Don't have to be here too long to get treated to a display from nature. Lovely hedgerows here. Somewhere along here, it might have been further back actually, there used to be a hollowed out tree, big old mature oak tree that we used to play in. You could basically just climb up the inside of a tree. First notable here is Kingswood Lodge, and that's a quite wonderful Grade 2 listed building, listed in 1983. Listed actually as Kingswood Country Club. I don't know that that's what it is now, I don't think so. But a magnificent building, 18th century. Wonderful. I think when I used to come over here as a child, it possibly wasn't as well presented then. Likewise, I don't remember the accommodation area here. I believe this last building was a barn, but very nicely converted into residential property now. Let's just have a quick look over here. Lots of dog barking going on. Lovely. That's where we're going to head next. So we've got some footpath signage here. Pretty much confirming where I'm going on the walk actually. But I'm now going to go through footpath 14, Surrey County Council 585, Farley Common, half a mile. And this is actually on the London Loop. Memory of Alan Whiting there. I've always liked this spot, where it opens out. We have some fantastic countryside near us, just on the outskirts of London. I'm going to do my best to do a walking video per month, and it's always good to have company. Used to come over here a lot as a kid. There's some great times. I've never specifically gone out to follow the London Loop, but I do on these walks that I choose to do see many intersections. Like these, hopefully the camera will pick it out, but we've got a number of spider webs here, and they just get hit in this shaded area with the morning dew. Wonderful little sight. I think because I'm planning to do, I plan honestly to do these walks every month. It should be a nice little trek through the seasons. So Mossy Hill Shore, it says there, the only access used to be that style there. This area, I'm sure we used to call Dead Man's Drop. Not this immediate bit, but as you'll see shortly, hopefully, what I mean. Did anyone else call this Dead Man's Drop? Am I imagining it after all these years? I'm now going to try and see if there was an actual drop. There's certainly a slope. Parakeets had a day off from attacking the feeders in my garden. They say at this time of year birds prefer to source their food from nature. It was a day for sun lotion and insect repellent today. Unfortunately, I've got to pass through some stinging nettles. So if one of them gets me, I'm looking for dock leaves to be available. Oh dear, what a wombat. I think one of them's got me. I think one of them had me. And you can never find a dock leaf when you want to find one. I think it's only one minor sting. Ouch. Is there a dock leaf shortage? Big hole there. Beautiful as the light comes through the trees. That's what I saw earlier over at Kingswood. And well, looking straight ahead, so we're in the valley here, And looking straight ahead as bits fall down from the trees above. I don't know if someone's trying to get me with something. Anyway, so this is the Mossy Hill Short area. In the distance, that's Selsdon Park Hotel. But how beautiful is that? Quite a drop in there. Dead man's drop, anybody? Answers in the comments, please. I don't think I've actually trodden the path. I don't know if we ever went all this way up here. Aerial activity in the form of a helicopter. Still no dock leaf. It's another challenging trek. I'd much rather the brush of a thorn than a sting of a nettle. Stop going on about it, Philip. Actually, the little pain has worn off a bit now. As I carefully negotiate this rather narrow footway. Obviously, big growth in the summer on these paths, but just wondered if not many people use them, you know. I've not met a soul or any other kind of fish. Boom. Oh, dock leaf. No, it's not. It's not a dock leaf, I think. I'll rub any old leaf on my leg. What kind of fool would do that? And widening out. And here we are on Farley Common. Elm Farm, lovely old building there. Been there for many, many years. Allersley Farm there. And then we've got the coach house. There's a care home just beyond. And these beautiful flint cottages here. We've got a slightly less sun impacted view there, almost like you're in Dorset or somewhere rather than so near to Croydon. I read that these ponds were neglected for many years, and in the 80s they set up a trust to look after them, so de-sludge them, and they're subject to ongoing maintenance work, and it actually looks really good in terms of plant growth, lilies and the like. I'm no expert, but it looks good. View over here. Interesting that the wood pigeon very kindly flew through the actual gate area. So another public footpath in that direction, which I'm not going to follow. That must go over towards St Mary's Farleigh, Farleigh Village, Farleigh Court area, where I went on my winter walk and talk. But today we're going to head along here. Quick observation of nature, the lovely berries. It's sort of fruits of the forest season, maybe. Some flying activity, but lovely acorns here. And here we have the berries. They'll be spinning down fairly soon. All of that just in one fairly small area. Oh, and not to forget the blackberries at the bottom. We carry on along Farley Common. Much of this area, the whole Farleigh area, is owned by Merton College, Oxford, and has been since the 13th century. So they would be involved, obviously, in planning applications and the like. And most importantly, they keep it as it is, as it should be. Now, I've just observed a little notice here, a little sign, confirming indeed this is Great Farleigh Green. I'm just crossing Farley Court Road. Little notice for horse riders there. I use the British Newspaper Archive as one of my research sources, and I remember when I was researching for the Winter Walk just how many crime stories were reported from residents of the Farleigh area, which I see it as a very small area in terms of its population, and I'm not offending anyone. This is in the 17 and 1800s. I hope I'm not offending anyone. Recently been managed and cut back a little. Great Farleigh Green. So this path that we picked up just from the opposite side of Elm Farm, this will take us to the Harrow Inn. I just want to call it Harrow Inn area, where I walk on the footpath for a little while before heading back into the countryside for the last section. We have a few things going on here. Formal sign and please drive carefully as you're entering Wallingham. Just behind that we've got the Harrow pub, and there's a little extra that I'll show you shortly. Perfectly safe to cross, and it's somewhat covered up. But this is yet another coal tax post just in there. I mentioned that briefly on the video I did of Whiteleaf, a Whiteleaf Walk and Talk. Pay duty when you're entering the London metropolitan area, or borough, London, I don't know, it's a boundary of London. So this is the Harrow Inn. 17th century building in parts. Pub probably since the 18th century. Assuming that's a boundary stone there, which I must admit escaped my research, trying to escape my shadow. But this does mark the boundary. There's a little sign there going into Farleigh. And yes, that is the Harrow. Not been there for a while. Outside seating area is always popular. So yeah, alehouse since the 18th century. Across the road. Looks like there's some shade on this part as well, which is welcome. It's not always possible to cover all the areas, so opposite the Harrow is Harrow Road. Leads to some other areas of interest. That'll be another walk, another day. And Cruise Lane is the next bit.
We're going.
Okay. Heading back more into the countryside again. Benefits from the shade. And the parakeets have followed me. Crew's cottage there. Very nice. This is a mixed surface, shall we say. Tread it very carefully. Fine in this weather. Probably a struggle in other types of weather. Wonderful. Can't quite see the other side. Is there a break up here? Yeah, there's a little break. Possibly some sheep in the distance. Bird activity. I'm assuming that that's possibly where I walked earlier, right ahead in the distance. Very pleasant indeed. Well, 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 for someone such as myself that has an interest in such things, I can now add to my list Kingswood Lane pumping station. I won't bother too much inside there, but I would expect there's a well there, borehole, something that can extract water. I'm not going to go poking my camera over, but Crew's house, very old, certainly 18th century, originally one large house, possibly divided up now. And whenever there's one of these important buildings on the landscape and in history around, it's excellent news that it's being used, maintained, upkept. Obviously cosmetically altered, I'm sure, but it's there. That's the important thing. I'm probably just going to stop here and let these horses pass. I've seen a fair bit of equestrian activity today. Never ridden a horse. My name apparently means the lover of horses. But I've never ridden a horse. Another public footpath and bridleway junction. So through that way, in that area, is Wallingham Sports Club. And here we have, I'll just pop in, the churchyard graveyard for All Saints. Now connecting between Kingswood Lane, Ward Lane area and Crews Avenue. And one famous resident of Crews Avenue was young Charles Gardner, whose family owned Hamsey Green Aerodrome. He won the King's Cup 1936 and 37, and he lived just along here at number 10, just a bit further down. This is, I think it's officially called Farley Recreation Ground or something. We used to know it as Verdane Gardens Rec. Spent many a year up here, well not the whole year, many a summer. There used to be a really big hole down the bottom there. I might even go that way. Changing rooms here. Really funny how things come back when you return somewhere. I almost said return to the scene of the crime, but there weren't any crimes. Remember where friends live nearby, and yeah, it transports you back about 40, 50 years of your life. Anyway, let's go that far way round. This area was originally part of the wider area, so there's the metal fencing there. There was, I suppose you could call it a soft fencing that's straight ahead in case the camera doesn't pick it out. There were a line of trees, well, every 10, 15 feet. And like 2 wires, they weren't electrified, they weren't barbed. You could just easily climb through them if you kicked a ball over or whatever. It was old Josephians at the time. It's now the Royal Mail Sports and Social Club, I believe. But in the 1930s, it was Gardners Airfield, Hamsey Green Airfield. This was originally going to be named Gardners Playing Field or something, in memory. And then the council said, no, we'll just call it Farley Recreation Ground or something. If I've got that wrong, it's not the end of the world. It's no biggie. But I might just flash it up as a caption now. There you go. Yeah, I just remember there being a big hole here, and someone once said that there were huge rats in there. Tell you what, it don't look bad, Nick. The grass here, football pitch marked out. I pretty much think, well, I think that was pretty much in exactly the same spot. I'll pan around in a minute for another perspective, but maybe this has just been somehow filled in, covered in, overgrown. I'm not going to go exploring now. There's a few mole hills there, flattened. Can't really tell. So, another nice views of the playing field. Swings, etc. I've had this whole area to myself pretty much today. Moleage. Looks like they've kept off the sports pitch. Well behaved moles. Since I made the video towards the end of 2021 on Hamsey Green Airfield, I found out a lot more about the family and about the site to a degree. Some more photographic material has become available, some very clear. Not that there was ever any dispute what was there, but yeah, so it didn't have any wartime role. And shortly after the war, things changed. Land was sold and everyone moved on. Funny, I remember those. And they got the spongy stuff now, which is much better. We used to just land on the concrete as kids. The layout, I think there was always a climbing thing on that side, some kind of roundabout thing there, and then the swings there, I think. If anyone else remembers or got an old picture, let me know. Again, it doesn't matter, but helps to feed the nostalgia. And this last well, I say last path, penultimate path for where the walk ends. Just goes along the perimeter of the former airfield on my left. I fly the flag a lot for the Gardners airfield, and 2 or 3 weeks ago I met with Charles Gardner's son, and it was a most wonderful meeting. Learned a lot more about the family, and there was a story that happened that I covered in my video, but some young air cadets decided to steal an aircraft from the airfield here and then promptly crashed it in the hedgerows, not sure exactly which hedgerows or field perimeter. Some serious financial damage done as well as damage to the aircraft. Apparently these young lads were bored with life. It was in the late 1930s, so I would expect that boredom went away as things were going to change. You're quite close, didn't you? It's more like a tunnel than a footpath. And the hangar became used by the stables. There was Barnfield's stables, and that's really what got me started on the story, because we were walking over to the recreation ground that I'd just been to when I was a kid, and my nan said, "Used to be an airfield here." I can remember it to this day. Pointed at the hangar. I thought, well, yeah, even at that age, whatever young age I was, I thought, yeah, it makes sense that that would be a building worthy of aircraft. And it was actually on this spot. It was in this very area that we're in now, or approaching that. There's a cottage here now. I didn't get it wrong today with the footwear. Didn't fancy the boots. Public bridle way, there we go. So in that very area where we got the stabling for the horses, that was where the hangar was. And when I visited there, you could still see the where the sliding doors to the hangar would have been. So yeah, Kingsmead Equestrian Centre now. So, hope you've enjoyed the walk. 3 miles of Hamsey Green, Farleigh, cruise area, bit of history, bit of nostalgia, and I'll see you in the next one.